Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Royal Corner. Today I'm incredibly excited to be sitting with you on this wonderful afternoon to have a conversation about your journey, Chief Molema. Thank you so much for honoring the Royal Corner podcast. It's been a moment I've dreamed of for the last 2 years, and I'm so glad that we are finally having the opportunity to bring it to life. So firstly, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Timmy, for having me. I look forward to having a wonderful conversation with you.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So let's get started. The Royal Corner really is a space. It's a very comfortable space. It's a space for you to be yourself. And the aim really is to just understand a bit more about where you've come from, where you're at currently in your life, and how you've answered the call in terms of the gifts that you've been given. So just to kick us off, relax. And this is really just a conversation. But can you just give us a bit of background in terms of who Chief Molema is?
Chief Molema is the son of Sekgopotsho Molema and Thethiwe Molema. We are from Kuruman, from a small village outside of Kuruman called Butiteleza. We are from the Royal Bataping, of which I am one of the chiefs in that tribe or clan. And I'm also a writer. I'm a husband, father, son, uncle, community member. So many things. So that's where I'm from, and we are here in Cape Town. We are based here now. My family is here, and that's where I am right now.
Okay, sure. You're quite a man of many talents and gifts, it seems from your response. Now, I'm very interested in just understanding from the chieftaincy perspective. You are young, you look very young.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? Just to get an understanding from an African culture perspective, in terms of the lineage and how all of that works, and how was it for you actually to then step into the throne and to serve the people of the village of Butiteleza?
So if you look at the lineage, so it fell upon me to be the next in line when I was born, considering that my grandfather's first child is a woman, your grandmother.
Yeah.
And his firstborn son died, didn't have sons. And then my father was the second-born son. And I was his son. And through that lineage, it fell upon me to be the next in line. So that's how I got chosen to be the chief of Butiteleza. So in 2018, I took over finally after a long time. I didn't think I was going to do it. But the call was very strong at the time, and I felt like I was in the right space of mind to do it, and I did it. And for 5 years, I was there, and it was a part of the journey that opened the journey that I'm currently on right now, of which now I call myself the mindset chief, because when I was there, I realized that a lot of the problems that we have don't have to do with the system, the lack of resources, so on and so forth. But the problems that we have in our communities are a mindset problem. So with my gift of writing, I took on the role of going out to persuade people to change their minds, to cultivate a new mindset, if you will.
Oh, wow. That sounds like an incredible journey, because it's unlocked the next chapter, which is, you had to answer that call of rising up to the occasion of being a chief, and that unlocked then you becoming the mindset chief. Did you always know from a young age that you were called to be a chief in the community? And is it something that it was an easy decision when you then decided that, well, I'm ready to step into the role? Was it an easy one, or there were lots of factors that you had to consider, especially considering that oftentimes, when you are the chief of a village, or living in a rural area, so to speak. I imagine it's not always easy because there are certain conveniences that you've got to let go of. But with the understanding that you're called to serve, how easy or difficult was that decision at that point?
Like I've gone all my life thinking that I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna let the old people do it. For me, I've always wanted to be just a playboy, just go to parties, live my life in the city, travel the world, that sort of thing. So when the time came for the regent who was holding the position for me when he said, now I want to retire and I think you're old enough to take over your throne. And I was looking for another regent. I looked around and I didn't find anyone suitable at that moment. And I knew that I have come to a crossroad. I can't run away from that responsibility at that moment, at that particular moment. Every option had been closed for me to pass it on to someone else. I didn't find or see anyone suitable. So I knew that it was my time. So in my family, nobody ever set me down. Not my grandmother, not my mother, not my Rangwane, Rakadi, and said, hey, you are the next in line. What happened was that I was in standard 4. That's grade 6, I think.
Yeah.
And it was after lunch. I still remember this day vividly. And they came into the classroom. I was still in the village at the time. And they came to the classroom. It was this Rangwan of mine who was my regent, Rangwan Ulihile, and Chief Janki, who is the senior traditional leader, who's the paramount chief above us. And they came into the room and they asked for me, and they took me to the offices in Tibistad, which is like the local township.
Yeah.
And they were there to show some government official that this person does in fact exist. Here he is. And they were talking about me like I'm not even in the room. Yeah, here's the boy who's great. That's how I discovered.
And you were in standard 4 in grade 6?
In standard 4. And
wow.
When I came back, everybody was calling me chief. They were teasing me in the playground. But there was always that thing, even before I was officially told, there was always that thing of people treating me with so much respect, like old people treating me with so much respect. But I just thought because I'm named after my grandfather, so I thought it was just a name thing, a namesake thing. But that's when I discovered that, actually, I am going to inherit the throne. And still, nobody from the family sat me down and said, from my family, my immediate family, my mother, my grandma, nobody sat me down and said, actually, this is what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And then we just continued like, and nothing has happened. And they just mentioned it in passing. And that's how I discovered that I was, would be the future chief of the village.
You were very young. Sure.
Very young. I was in primary school.
Yeah. That's incredible. And really, I think from my side, a big well done. I don't think I've met many people across my journey of life who, have the same thing. They become aware at some point that they are meant to be chief in different parts of the country, and many of them found it difficult to say, well, they're going to leave the city or the township to actually go to a rural area and to serve the people as a chief. So big ups to you for having actually risen up to the occasion and served the people of Boteteleza. Now I'm curious to find out from you said you're a husband. You've mentioned that you're a husband.
Yeah.
How was that transition into your role as a chief and having a partner, I assume at the time, I don't know when you guys had met, but with your wife, how was that for her? Just, being made aware that, well, this is who we are and we're going to serve the people.
So I wasn't married when I assumed
The role.
The role. So and I wasn't even dating my wife, but I knew her we were friends before that time, and we started dating when I assumed the role. So she sort of had an idea what was going to happen. So when I proposed to her, she already knew where I was coming from, where we were going to be. And to my surprise, she was very open to that idea of, I mean, my wife is a township girl, so she, she uprooted her life from the township and she moved to the village with me. So so she was very open, and I was very surprised that she she embraced the whole journey. Not even once did she complain about anything. In fact, she was having the time of her life. She says it was an adventure for her to live like that, to be driving past cows and donkeys every day when she goes to work. Yeah, that sort of thing. So she learned a lot as well in that role, because my wife is heavily interested in heritage. So I think also God has a way of just doing things. It was also her journey as well. It was not my journey. It was also a journey into discovering, to go deep into the heritage, into our cultural heritage, and find things that. So she's always the one who insists that I call myself chief. I wear these little African, things, because she really loves that. So she embraced it, and we both grew tremendously.
She sounds like she's a keeper.
She is a keeper.
All right. Thank you for sharing that part of your journey. Now, there's something else that you said earlier that got me quite interested. You said you call yourself the mindset chief, which was born out of you having been a chief in the village of Poteteleza. Tell me a little bit more about what that is about.
So for me, it's just to say that we need to develop a winning mindset as a people. We need to have that mindset of saying we will do things and we will achieve things, and we will become better, we will become stronger, wiser, and because there's nothing really in between us and living the lives that we want to live. It's just a matter of belief and mindset. So I just realized that the poverty that's out there and everything is just because people are stuck in this mindset that, you must wait for the government, nothing can be done. And so from then I realized that that's the work that I want to do. That's the work that I want to do through my writing. I want to, just speak to people and plant these ideas in their heads to say that, we can rise up from our conditions wherever we come from. People have done it. It's nothing new.
So how do you actually put it out there? So impacting people's lives as the mindset chief. Are there different platforms through which then you engage with people in order to catalyze that mindset shift or change to get them to be their best selves?
So I'm writing. I'm a writer. I've got a book, and I've got other books in the pipeline as well. So I have a newsletter that I send out weekly, and I'll be doing workshops soon. So the combination of all of those things is my work towards building this mindset. Because I looked around and I looked at places like America, and they have this, how Americans have this mindset of they're going to make something, they're going to make it big and grand and amazing. And I said, where does that mindset come from? And I discovered so many writers before that sort of built up that mindset. It didn't happen by mistake. And I love the fact that that mindset is already manifesting in South Africa, because there's this thing, the no DNA, just RSA mindset thing. That's exactly the mindset that I'm going for. It's already manifesting. So I'm just contributing towards that mindset that as South Africans, whatever that we do, we gotta be the best. We gotta do it. We gotta do it great. We have to, we have to go out there and compete on a global scale. Yeah.
Sure. Actually, so I am subscribed to your weekly mailers. I don't know how frequently you actually post. I've seen sometimes it's more than once in a week.
Yeah.
And I've been silently just reading them every week. And I've been speaking to some people that, if I happen to be with someone and I read whatever you're sharing in that particular day, I do share it with them as well. And I really think it's incredible because a lot of that you've shared is very simple things, but gets you to really introspect as a human being to say, whatever it is that you're talking about, whether it's love or, the different things that you write about. So I've been encouraged, and I just want to say that I have shared and I continue to share. Keep doing what you're doing because sometimes you're not aware of the number of lives that you're touching. And I've been quite impressed as well that you haven't. Sometimes people start things and then they lose their momentum along the way.
Yeah.
But I've been following that one particularly for quite a long time. So it's really refreshing to see how you think differently about how to change our lives through our mindset. And you mentioned you've got a book.
Yeah.
So We Are World Creators. This book is gold.
Yeah.
It's so small, but it is so loaded. I found myself just going through the book really introspecting because, as you say, you are about mindset.
Yeah.
And it challenged, some parts were challenging even me. I was having to reflect and ask myself, am I really being optimal? So I'm someone who loves to do a lot of things, I am formally employed. And then now with the podcast coming back, I have a lot of interests. But somewhere in the book, it also talks about the importance of focusing and, being able to switch off the noise with other things. So the way in which you've written in this book as well, just like your weekly mailers that you send out, very, very simple and easy to understand and so refreshing. So when I was going through it, I just thought, you know what, I can actually be greater than what I currently am. There are a few areas that I just need to polish up or fix for me to be the best version of myself. So as a writer, you did say that you're a writer. I think you're really, really doing a great job at it. And from when I was doing a bit of research as well, I saw that you also have a publishing house.
Yeah.
So how does that work? If I wanted to write a book, I can publish it through you, or?
For now, I'm just focused on putting my work out and building a team. Once I have a solid team out, I can then take on other people's work.
Okay.
So the publishing house came about when I wrote this book and I decided to self-publish it. And I said, let me do it through my own publishing house because the message that I've written is too important to go around saying, can you please publish this? And somebody says no. And then I give up. No, I said, I'm going to do it myself. And it's the spirit of the times to be independent because we can build our own audiences and we don't need third parties anymore like before. And I'm not knocking traditional publishing. I'm just saying that we have so much leeway these days to be able to build our own things. And it's going to take time, but I think it's worth doing it to just build. But it's really about getting the work out into the world. So I'm hesitant on taking on other people's work because for me it's about this work of developing people's mindsets more than anything else. But in the future, I'd be more than happy to take on other people's work. And
So for you, because you're talking about the importance of, I can hear it consistently as we are chatting, that it's important for you to be able, you're helping others and that's how you're impacting their lives, through just shifting their mindset and so on. For you, and I don't know if it's in your upbringing or at what point in your journey, what was that moment? And I think some of the things, I went through the book, the examples of how you're vulnerable enough as well in the book in terms of, there was a season of your life where you operated in a certain way where you are not the great version or the greatest version of yourself as you are now. What did it take, like, for you, for your mindset itself to shift or elevate to get you to even say, I'm going to dare and be bold and go and publish this book because I'm great as a writer. I've got a good message to put out into the world. And I believe we are world creators. But what was it in your own mind that shifted? What was that influence on you that made you believe that you are capable of putting something like this out into the world?
So this book came to me at a time when I had just come out of a failed business. So I was at home, licking my wounds, living at my mother's house, and nothing was happening. I was so broke. And I've always been the kind of guy that has motion. I always have something to do, somewhere to be, So, but this time I was grounded. I was in prison for a little bit to say, you're going to be here. And so there I was. I never thought of, like, I've always loved reading, and I wrote a little bit, but I didn't see myself as a would-be writer at any point in my life. I knew that it's something that I could do, but it didn't interest me so much to want to be a writer, even though I loved books. I love books. So this book came to me. It was such a thunderbolt. It hit me like a thunderbolt because I didn't plan it. I was just minding my own business. In fact, I had gone to buy pizza at my wife's restaurant, and they had a bookshelf by the entrance. And when I got there, I picked out one of the books and I was reading the introduction, and I loved the introduction so much. I said, this is a powerful introduction. And immediately after I closed that book, I got the words, "We are world creators." That is the opening of the book.
Wow.
Worlds don't create themselves. So I took out my phone and started just writing in my notes. So I thought it was just going to be like a short thing, because I usually wrote short things on my notes, like everybody does probably.
Yeah.
When you get a thought, you just type it out quickly. I thought it was just going to be a short thing where I'm just... But what happened was that the stream of consciousness just got heavier and heavier. I just kept writing. And people are walking in, and I just feel like, no, this is too strong. I have to leave. And I left while they were still making my pizza. I went home, and I was just there writing. They call me, like I went maybe around 10 in the morning. And they call me later in the afternoon to say, your pizza has been ready. You need to come fetch your pizza. But I continued writing. I went out to fetch my pizza. I think I slept at 2-3 a.m. in the morning.
Sure.
Just writing on my phone. And I slept and I woke up, and the stream of consciousness was still there. So I kept, like, they were literally just coming. I wasn't thinking. It was not a matter of, what should I write next? No, it was just words just literally pouring. Pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. And even into the following day, I continued writing. Like, I was just locked in. So when that thing stopped, I realized that, I have a book on my hands.
Wow.
So, and then for the next 2 years or so, I started just working on it, refining it, putting more to it. And this is the final product. So
sure.
It's not something that I planned. It's not something that I planned and said, I think I can be a great writer, so let me do it. It was just a call that came to me, when I was just minding my own business, and God had just grounded me from all these other things so that I can do this and realize that I can work on this path. I have to work on this path as well.
Sure. So, I mean, you've done very bold things putting this together. And I really, really think, when I was going through it, I thought, maybe my son is 13 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to read it, but I thought he's too young. He might not get the message fully.
Yeah.
But I really think it's one of those powerful pieces of work that I even want to gift a couple of people in my life with. So a very bold project. And I guess the way that you've described how it came to you, it was that stream of consciousness and just getting into it and flowing with it. And you've mentioned being a chief. And with these things or these calls that you've had on your life, has it always been when you surrender to that moment or to the calling, has there been some fear that comes with it? Because I find that all too often, many of us, well, if you're interested enough in introspecting, there are things that you know that you're gifted with, like you're gifted with writing. But sometimes we don't rise up to the occasion because we're afraid. So has fear been part of your journey at any point? Sometimes we read these business books of people who've made it, and we only get to really understand when they were starting the business and then they've made it, but sometimes they're not sharing the in-between of how terrified they must have been to then venture into whatever it is. So have you experienced that? And if so, how have you managed that in a way that it enables you to actually propel forward and it is not debilitating for you?
In all the things that I've done so far, fear was always there. Because even just saying, I'm going to step away from the role and place a region for me while I go focus on this work, that was a scary moment. Even deciding to marry my wife, that was scary. Even just, putting the book out. So there's never been a point where I wasn't scared. I wish I could just say I was just bold and brave throughout the whole thing. No, it was a matter of, in spite of the fear, you just do it in spite of the fear. The fear is still there. And I read a powerful quote where someone said, courage is not the absence of fear, but just to do something in spite of the fear. So yeah, it has always been there. It'll always be there. No matter what you do, whether you're starting a new business, whether you're starting a podcast, there will always be fear. There will always be fear whether you want to start a new career or whatever that you want to do. There will never not be a time when a person doesn't feel fear. It's a permanent human emotion. So, but the only way to overcome it is through taking action. You don't wait to not feel afraid and then you take action. You take action and then you stop feeling afraid. Yeah.
Sure, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
That's very, very powerful. You had also indicated there's some writing workshops either that you started or you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
What is that journey currently looking like? And who are you doing it for?
So I have a couple of workshops that I'm working on. I have a creative writing workshop.
Okay.
And it's just to get people's juices flowing. It's for anyone, really, not just writers, but for people who are interested in being creative, who just want to unlock their, because a lot of people think that writing is such an alien thing to them. It's such a complicated thing. And I just show them that this is so easy. And when I do the workshop, people are so surprised at the things they write. My wife did a short story at the workshop we were doing, and it was very sci-fi. And she was so surprised that she has a mind like that.
Wow.
And so it's just to unlock people to the potential of their minds, to say that you are so creative. It's just that you are not tapping into your creative juices. So whether you want to be a writer or you're just a business person or you just want to engage your creative faculties, that's what the workshop is about, to just unlock your creativity. It's like painting. For example, a lot of people find they become very creative when they paint, even if they don't become artists. But just that act of coming up with something and you realize, if I can do this, then I can apply myself in whatever that I'm doing. I can apply myself creatively in whatever that I'm doing. And then I also have another workshop that's coming. It's a dream design workshop. So I also show people how to dream, because having lived in the village, I realized that, the young people have lost the ability to dream. Not just young people, everyone. People are just stuck in this box and they can't dream outside of it. And I just realized that we don't know how to dream. And I went out and really thought about it to say, how does a person dream? And because people think that dreaming is useless. But everything begins with a dream. You had a dream of this podcast, it's here. I had a dream of having a publishing house, doing all of these things, and now we're here having this conversation because everything starts with a dream. Even the studio we are in, somebody had to have a dream. So nothing begins without a dream. So I just go out to teach, not to teach, but to ignite, to reunite people with their dreams. Because I can't teach people how to dream. Dreaming is a natural. It's a God-given ability, so it will always be there. So people have given up on their dreams so much. So I'm just reuniting them with their dreams and just igniting that ability to dream, and it's for free. Dreaming, not the workshop.
Yeah, of course, please. It cannot be free.
Yeah.
And I mean, if so, for our audience that is listening to this podcast, if they were interested then in becoming or joining or participating in some of those workshops that you have, whether it's the dreaming one, where do they find information on that? Do you have a website?
Yeah, I have a website. You can check my website out it's kakishomolema.com. And I also have a Facebook page, kakishomolema. And I'm on Instagram as kakishomolema, the mindset writer. Yeah.
Okay. I'll actually share that in the details of the podcast as well, because I think, listening to this conversation, as I was saying to you earlier, you don't really know who is reading your work, who is listening. And many a times we touch people's lives that are not even people that we would ordinarily have encountered. So people then get curious from just listening to this podcast. And it's important then for them to know where to go to find some of those workshops that you conduct. And you typically do it in organizations as well? Do you have organizations where if somebody from an organization perhaps wanted to have a dream, what do you call the dream workshops?
I call it what do you call it, Mami? Dream design workshop. No, man, I had a dream. I had a name, man.
Yeah.
I forgot the name that I came up.
Said the creative ones we were gonna hold Spotify or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for now it's just a dream design workshop.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I can be invited. You can invite me to speak. To do a workshop with your team if you have a company, corporates, even the creative writing workshop. It's for everyone really, just people who want to unlock their creative juices. Not necessarily for writers. It's just for people to unlock those things. So if you have an organization, you can organize with me so that I can come and host a workshop with your people, whether you're a school, an NGO, whatever. And yeah, I'm willing to come out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can access all this greatness from you.
Yeah.
And I think for the book as well, I'll just show it again. But this book is really, really, really powerful.
Thank you.
I feel so blessed. So just as an FYI to everyone listening, Chief Molema is actually my uncle. So we come from the same family. And to have read an incredible piece such as this, this is life-changing. It's phenomenal. So with the book, do we then also order it from the website or?
Yeah.
From the website?
From the website. The ordering details are in there, and I can always ship it to where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Now to the other side, I guess the lighter side, because as human beings, right, you were earlier on when we started touching on who you are as Chief Molema, you described the different things that you've tapped into, you being a chief, and you being the mindset chief as well, being a husband, a father, an uncle. So what do you do in your time of leisure? So I understand that you're passionate about writing and you're doing all of these things. Outside of that, what is it that you enjoy to do when you want to unwind?
I like walks, long walks. I like to take long walks, and fortunately where we live, there's such beautiful trails, hiking trails. So I like doing that. I also like playing golf. I picked up golf and I like doing that a lot. Yeah, and just traveling, and we are also Sabbath keepers, so we take a day off on the Sabbath, which is Friday sunset till Saturday sunset. No phone, no work, just family,
Wow.
family and church, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That sounds like a very balanced life. You know, the ability to then switch off and say, there's no work that's happening in this time.
yeah,
Just going to enjoy basking in the presence of the family and church.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And with your family, because you are a father as well, with your kids, what are the ages? So the different ages.
I have a 3-year-old,
Mhm.
2-year-old,
Yeah.
and a almost 6-month-old. So it's my baby making spree has just been legendary, one after another.
Oh, blessings on blessings.
Blessings on blessings.
Yeah. And I mean, so and with the understanding that they obviously are quite young, and you're very deliberate about the time that you're spending with the family when you're observing the Sabbath. How are you, as young as they are, I guess, igniting, I don't know, the word maybe I'm looking for is the mindset that we spoke about earlier. How are you, because I think a lot of things also start from our childhood.
Yeah.
You know, cultivating certain things. You grew up with those things. That's why a lot of the time people, you know, as you grow older and you are facing certain things from your past or your childhood, some of them are traumas and wounds that you had. Some of them are great memories that you can still tap back into. And you say, I've always known from the age of 3 that I would one day become president because of whatever influence was in your life as a child. So with them, being as young as they are, how are you just igniting that spirit of rising up to who they are? I know they're very young. Is it through play?
What I'm focused on right now is just to make sure that they feel loved and secure. I'm not in a hurry to sort of say you have to be this, you have to be that,
Yeah.
be like this, because they're going to look at what we do anyway. They're not gonna. It's not what I try to. It's hard. They're just gonna learn from watching us.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the way we live, me and my wife, the way we live, we are great examples for them to. So that's why for me, going after our dreams is so important. I value that a lot because I want them to see us pursuing our dreams so that when it's time for them to pursue their own dreams, they have the courage because they've seen us do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that we fail or whatever. They just need to see us, going out and going after our dreams as parents, so that also we don't become stumbling blocks when it's time for them to parents sometimes we become, because I'm a parent now, we become stumbling blocks for our children when you abandon your dream. And when your child comes back later to say, I want to be a dancer, I want to be an artist, I want to be this and that, you say, no. Because you didn't go for your dream. Now you are unconsciously blocking your own child from going after their dream. So that's why me and my wife, we are just constantly going after our own dreams so that our kids can have the courage to pursue their own dreams when it's time.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I mean, you mentioned something so interesting about how children really, you don't even have to at this stage in their lives you don't have to rush the process. Because children anyway will be observing you. So through the way that you and your wife choose to live your lives, you are hoping that they then will have the courage to chase their own dreams, which I think is quite powerful. Oftentimes as parents, we forget that. We forget that sometimes it's not the words that you speak to a child really, but they're observing. And one day, as they grow older, they realize that, oh, my mom and dad, they've always lived with this boldness and courage. They've decided to move provinces. And so you recently moved to the Western Cape?
The Western Cape.
Yeah. From the Northern Cape.
Yeah.
How's that transition been?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I mean, this place is amazing. Everything works here, guys. The tap water is drinkable.
It's a mini Europe here.
It's a mini Europe.
Yeah.
Healthcare is incredible.
Wow.
Safety. Where we live in Swellendam. It's such an amazing, quaint, small town.
Wow.
The countryside. So I was talking about the hiking trails. There's a group of people who have dedicated themselves to just taking care of the hiking trails. You know, that's how organized and how people care so much for their communities and where they live. And I like that about the Western Cape. It's a general mindset in the Western Cape.
Jeez, you were brave. Selendam, leaving Kurman and just deciding to move to Selendam in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
Did you just, or was there something that took you there, or you just decided, you looked at the map and wherever the pen landed, you were like, that's where we're going?
No, what happened was that we were doing a backpacking tour. Me and my wife were backpacking from. We're doing a coast to coast tour, backpacking, because my wife is in tourism. And I said to her, look, you can't say you're in tourism if you've never backpacked, you know, using public transport, backpack on your back, sleeping in hostels. Let's do it. And we did it. We started in Cape Town. It was in 2020, right before the lockdown.
Yeah.
So we moved from Cape Town. We were traveling. We went to Hermanus and then we went to Cape Agalas. And we struggled to get to Cape Agalas because there's no public transport going to Cape Agalas. So when we got to Cape Agalas, we were speaking to one of the ladies at the coffee shop. We were having breakfast in, and we were asking, how do you guys maneuver in and out of town? And it's like, there's no public transport here. So, but she said, there's a guy here, he's from Swellendam, you can ask for a lift, he'll drop you off on the N2, because our next destination was George.
Yeah.
We were going to Wilderness. So we got a ride with this guy into, he was supposed to drop us off on the N2 so that we hitchhike to George, but he insisted we go into town. And we went into this little town, and he drops us off in the middle of town, and we had to walk back to the highway.
It's in Swellendam.
Swellendam.
Yeah.
And we are walking there, and we are looking at this place like, I remember just turning back, because you sort of rise when you leave town, and the town is like in a valley, so you just look down on it, and it's so green, and there's a beautiful mountain. It's just quaint homes, and I was just looking there like, what is this place? Wow. And we left, and then soon after we got married, we went for another holiday. We went there, we liked it even more. We went there again to stay for a month, thinking, let's just go see that place. Maybe it's just, if we're there for longer, we won't like it that much. We liked it even more staying there for a month. So we just decided that, you know what, this is where we want to raise our family. It's a beautiful space to raise a family. So yeah.
I'd love to come and visit sometime soon.
Yeah.
It sounds incredible.
Come through. It's a beautiful, beautiful town.
Yeah.
I encourage anyone to come through. So just to even work for the local tourism.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And the community, when you moved, they received you well in the community of Swellendam?
Yes.
It's a small community from what I understand.
Very small community. It's a very small community. Majority white people. But we've been so well received. And even in the cult community. And it's such a strong community. It's such a strong community with very strong values. And the spirit of community is so strong in that town. Everyone is always contributing. This one is doing that. This one is doing that. So it just makes you want to contribute as well.
Sure. Now I'm getting convinced I might move to Swellendam myself.
Yes. It's a wonderful town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I'm so inspired. We've touched on different parts of your life. I mean, even the decision to decide alongside your wife that you're moving to Swellendam, for me, it reflects the fact that you guys are very bold and you make decisions that, you're willing to throw caution to the wind and see what it will bring forth. And so far, it seems like with the different things or the decisions that you've made, they've continued to just help you elevate more and more. And which is so beautiful, really, to have on this podcast as well. Because for me, the intention is for us to just have these conversations in order for all of us also to realize that we are more than capable of doing things that we may perceive as hard or difficult. I mean, even moving is such a big, bold move, moving provinces apart. That is very, very courageous. So thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing. And I also want to say I'm ever so proud of you. rural Kuruman boy, just like me, a rural Kuruman girl.
Yeah.
And I mean, this picture, so I don't know if for those who'll be able to see it, I was blown away. So this is a picture of us. How old were we here?
I don't know. How old do we look there?
We look like we could be,
Almost 2.
or even younger. I look really, yeah, a year or 2.
Yeah.
With our great grandmother. Well, my great grandmother,
My grandmother.
your grandmother.
Yeah.
This is such a special picture.
Yeah.
So to have you sitting here with me on my podcast is really special. And to have you as my first guest, even more special.
Yeah.
I feel really blessed. And I think this conversation was ordained by God for us to be able to have it.
Yeah.
I know we had wanted to have it earlier in the year,
Mm.
but it wasn't possible. But the time has come. And I loved the message that you had written for me in the book, because you said, I have a date. You have a date with destiny. Proceed boldly. And this is my date with destiny today.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very big thank you for making the time, coming to share.
Yeah.
And I believe we will engage some more into the future, because I'm quite excited and keen to see some of the other work that you'll be doing. Because I really think you are a change maker in the world.
Thank you.
You talk about being a world creator. I see you. I may not always be sharing or telling you that I see the work that you and your wife are also doing, but I'm ever so inspired, and thank you for not hesitating when I asked that you please come and join us on this episode of The Royal Corner.
It's a pleasure, and we are doing the same work, you and I, because just different phrasing. With this podcast, you said you wanted to ignite that the royalty in people. People realize that they are royalty.
Yeah.
I mean, that for me is just the same work that we do to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also very proud of the work that you're doing and taking this bold step to start a podcast. Especially in a time where somebody could just discourage you and say, but podcasts are...
There's so many of them.
They're saturated. Or
Yeah.
They think yours is good. So I'm just proud of you as well for taking that bold step to start something new. And I'm honored to be included and to be your first guest in my first podcast interview as well.
So it's a first for both of us.
It's a first for both of us. And it was ordained a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah.
I couldn't take a picture.
Sure.
Yeah. This conversation was meant to happen, and it's going to change a lot of things for the both of us, by the way.
Absolutely.
I'm already putting it out there that it's just going to change. This podcast is going to rise, and the work that I do also is going to impact a lot of people. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to me.